Well, good evening, Prattville Lions fans. This is your host of the Coach Caleb Ross Show, Chris Britton, coming to you live from Los Mayas Restaurant here in Prattville. We would, as always, invite you to come out and enjoy some fun people, some great people, and some delicious food. Thank you all, as always, to Los Mayas Restaurant for hosting us and taking great care of us. We'd invite you to come on out, be with us. We're right here on Main Street next to Winn-Dixie in that shopping center at Los Mayas Restaurant. Well, I'm joined, as always, by the top cat, Coach Caleb Ross. Coach, how you doing this evening?
Good evening. How are y'all?
Doing fantastic. Great to have you. Coach, let's just jump right in. Big ball game last night. A lot of playoff implications to it. Playing Jeff Davis High School. Take us through last week's game just a little bit.
Well, anytime you can get a win, anytime you can get a region win, it's a big deal. And, I had spoken, last week saying it was probably not our best night, but, we found a way to win. Like you see, you take the week before we played Lee, probably had our biggest win, obviously, of the year at that point, and then the biggest win probably this program's had in probably 2 or 3 years, to be honest. And, and then the next week, and our kids have really been dialed in all year. I really didn't think our focus going into Jeff Davis was as crisp, was as clean as it had been all year.
Uh-huh.
And you kind of, they're kids, and you get it. You can't be dialed in every week, man. It's almost humanly impossible, but I just didn't really like where we were, and I'm kind of, hey, I don't like some of this. It wasn't like it was bad. The energy was good. There's a lot of factors, and we can talk about them, but I didn't know if we were really focused. And then, man, you get into a ball game, and you're in a dogfight. Jeff Davis came to win.
Yes, they did.
They come out with a great game plan, come out and jumped up. And, luckily we've made enough big plays in the first half and enough few stops to really stay in the ball game. Because, in my opinion, we're really being outplayed in that first half. But we're only down by a score. You go in at halftime, and you talk to the kids. You're like, hey, I told you. I mean, this is what happens, guys. And it was really a good lesson. And they had that look on their face like, Coach, you're right. You know what I mean? But that's part of it. And I said, well, you really got two choices here. You can sit there and continue this trend and really lose a game you shouldn't lose, or you can dig cleats in the turf and find out a way to come back and win this football game. And I was proud of that, man. They did. They come out in that second half, and I think after we giving up an initial score, I think we went on a 34-6 run, maybe, and really put the game away at the end. Very, very proud of that.
Yeah, fantastic. I don't know what you said to him at halftime, but it worked, whatever you told him.
Well, it really wasn't one of those rah-rahs.
Right.
I mean, I kind of got their attention early, but then it's kind of, hey, it's up to you. Y'all got to make this decision. This is what you want to do. I mean, me losing my voice and all that really ain't going to help.
Doesn't do any good, right? So. Well, and you got the added emotion, too. That was an extra special night for about 30 or so of your guys. It was senior night.
That's right. I mean, there's so many factors. Like you said, you had senior night. You even go back to a big emotional win against Lee, biggest win. It just, we probably, a lot of their friends and family probably told them how great they were and all that. And that's expected, but they've got to handle it the right way. You know what I mean? I do want our kids to be proud. I want them to be excited about winning, but what you don't want is that letdown that sometimes when you feel like you've arrived or if you've done everything, that you don't work as hard as you did to get there. But the other thing, too, we were out of school Monday and Tuesday, so we practiced in the morning, changed the schedule. And then Wednesday afternoon, because of the hurricane, all after-school activities got canceled. So we weren't able to practice Wednesday afternoon.
Lost today.
So it moved everything that we usually do on Wednesday to Thursday. It just really threw off our schedule. And not to play, you're playing a Jeff Davis team that was hungry. Man, they knew they had to – in their minds, they had to win that game if they had a chance to make the playoffs. So, man, it kind of all stacked up on us, but, man, we found a way to win.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what matters is figuring out a way to win. And you look at it, and you talk a lot about this. We talk a lot about this on the show is facing adversity. Yes, you're going to have adversity on the field, but the last 2 weeks in a row, there have been, like, out of your control circumstances. You got the game getting moved up a night, 2 weeks, you get losing a week. How are you guys, how are you using that as you face difficulties through the season?
Man, I don't want to get too deep and philosophical, but that's life, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
How we all deal with adversity determines our course. But, especially with football, man, like you said, we found out we're having to move the game up a day. All right, well, we handled that really well. We bounced back from really 2 difficult losses in Phoenix City. Just, obviously just got handled pretty good there and played lights out in the first half against Wetumpka to really let it just implode on us there in the second half. But you know what? Our kids bounced back so well the next week, man. We came back after Phoenix City, and we played really well and beat Enterprise. Came back after Wetumpka, played really well and beat Robert E. Lee. So the big challenge was, all right, you've handled adversity pretty well. How do you handle success?
Right.
And it's like the growing pains of a program where when you're trying to put it back on its feet, you got to go through those things. You can't cheat it. You got to go through them.
Every step.
It's like I said, it's like teaching your child, don't touch that hot stove. Don't touch that hot stove. What do they do? They go touch the hot stove.
Got to see it for themselves.
That's it. And so luckily for us, they saw it for themselves, and we found a way to win.
Yes.
So a lot of coaching points.
That's key, and that's it. As you can use all those experiences and learn life lessons from them, teach as you go. Let's talk just a little bit about personal, maybe offensive side of the ball, some challenges and also some things that went right for you last Friday night.
Yeah, first of all, man, I really, I thought early on like I said, we weren't as crisp. I think we had our first 2 series. We maybe went to 3 and out, maybe got 1 first down, but we had to punt, and then finally third series, got a little bit going, got them on their heels. We decided to take a shot from about 38 out, hit Malik in the back of the end zone. Really big play. Yeah. To go up right there.
He's done a lot of that this year, by the way.
He has. And then had the I'm trying to think of our second score. Oh, that's right. We get into a situation moving the football. We get a third and we get a bad snap. But say we get the bad snap, so we're like in 2nd and 32. We hand it off to manage it to get about 3rd and 25. Then we hit Taylor on the backside post, all the way down to about the 2-yard line, and then we punch it in right after that. So really 2 big plays to keep us in the game, and so those guys, man, we come out. And I thought early on now, man, JD's D-line was kind of taking it to our O-line on line of scrimmage. But in like every game we played, as the game goes on, man, our guys are resilient. They're tough, man. They keep battling. And eventually those D-linemen get wore down. And finally in the second half, man, I really thought our O-line started opening up holes. And not to mention, man, we had with our new addition, Jaquez Allen, come in and really, man, gave us a spark. I thought Trey continued to play well.
Sure.
I thought Kyle come in and only had 1 series, but I thought he did a really good job. Of that series right before half. He got us. We were out of a hole. He managed to get us there and had a chance to throw one in the end zone. And we had a trick play called that, man, if Jordan puts more air on it, man, we hit Taylor in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. It's just a missed time play. And that's the only thing about tricks, man. We do them and we got them and they're fun. But you have to rep them so much sometimes, especially plays like that.
To only use it once in the season.
That's right. So it's hard to really get timing on that. But
that one happened right in front of me, and it was crazy. Taylor, it was stride for stride. He had it, and then he kind of slowed up, and then it was over him. So
well, and here's the thing: when you're catching a ball from somebody not used to catching, you don't know if that ball floats. Our receivers get used to catching balls from Trey. They get used to catching from Kyle, so they know the spin of that football. They know how it's going to come off his hand. And people are like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "That really does matter now, especially at nighttime. We don't." Really, besides a couple scrimmages, we don't practice at night, so that ball looks different there. There's just a lot that goes into it that people don't realize. But we had it. It's one of those things we call it. Do you think it's there, Coach? I don't think they're going to bite. Oh my God, they're bit. We got it. It's there. And then oh man, we don't complete it. So, but anyway. So,
but it was fun.
Yes, and we enjoy them. We do them, and we try to make it fun. But I thought I said Malik had a good night. These are just offensive guys. I know we'll talk defense here in a second. I thought the 2 quarterbacks played well, obviously. And we, I don't want to. I know Jaquez kind of got the headline. Keandre Powell continues to get better, man.
Did good, yeah.
What just a kid that I really enjoy being around. A sophomore is going to be a really good football player. He's one of the best football players we have on our team. Just got the right mindset. I hope he continues, keeps that going. He's a young guy, but
he's a budding leader too. I believe
he's just got it. He's got that it about him. Man, you talking about it? Like I said, just ultimate football player. We could put him at running back. We could put him at receiver. We could put him at safety. We could put him at corner. I think you could put him at kicker. He'd find a way. You know what I mean? Just one of those kids. So he continues to play well. But obviously, man, with Jaquez Allen, who's been here 3 or 4 weeks, we finally got him. He was eligible to play Friday night, and, man, he really showed what he could do.
He did, and we'll talk more about him a little bit later on, but I just want to touch on the emotion that he showed. He knew those guys you were playing against, didn't he?
It's a big moment, man, for that kid. And I wanted, and man, I've only been around about a month, but man, he's just been an outstanding young man. And to find out, the couple weeks before, when man, we don't know if you're going to be eligible. To find out really on back-to-back game days, hey, I can't play tonight, bud. We're not cleared through the state to play yet. So, and man, just the disappointment to see on that kid. But you know what? He handled it like a young man. And that's why I was just so proud, man. He's just been really enjoyable to be around.
And it was good to see a victory in a sense for him. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on him specifically, but he really did. He showed some signs that he can do the job. And it was good to see. Let's get ready to go to a break in just a minute, and we'll come back and talk more about this past week's game and go over the defensive side of the ball just a little bit. We want to thank all of you who are listening tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you're listening on the radio, radio, you're anywhere nearby, we'd invite you to come join us right here live at Los Mayas Restaurant right next to Winn-Dixie, across the street from Hardee's here in Prattville on Main Street. Those of you who are listening to us there, again, on Dixie Country 100.1, thanks for tuning in. Also, those of you on the Prattville Alive YouTube channel, thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Coach Caleb Ross Show. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Restaurant right next to Winn-Dixie, just off of Main Street here in Prattville, across the street from Hardee's. So if you don't know where it is by now, just follow the smell to the good food. We'd love to have you here, okay? Joined as always by Coach Caleb Ross, head coach for the Lions. Coach, thanks for joining us again for this segment. We left out of the last one talking about the offensive performance this past week, last Friday. Let's talk a little bit about the defensive side of the ball.
You know, and obviously Coach Wallace is right here too, but, you know, probably first half wasn't our best night. But you know what we did? Our kids anchored down on defense that second half. Besides the very first drive, our kids anchored down and played really good ball, man. They really did. And sometimes you got to have a wake-up call. Sometimes you got to realize, hey, the other team's here to win too. So he was really proud of that. When we needed to make the stops, we made the stops. Man, I tell you one kid that I'm really proud of that man, truthfully going in, we didn't know how much he'd get to play. We thought he'd play a little bit, but Chris Bozeman finally got him back from game one. Man, we really thought, man, if we get 10 to 15 snaps, he's just coming back. Man, it's probably a really good night. You know, and that way build on him. Maybe next week get him a few more, then build up, maybe going in the playoffs. You know, man, he'd get 25, 30 snaps. We played 28 snaps the other night. And really was very, played really well. And I'm glad that he came back, man. You know, Rodney Thompson's another mainstay on that D-line that seems like every week plays well. Man, I tell you Skylar Henderson played better Friday night. He played really well.
Yeah.
Marlon Brantley continues to be very consistent. And then you talk the back, Brandon Butts. Man, Brandon Butts is such an underrated player.
I mean, see why people keep throwing his way so much.
They keep throwing his way, and he keeps knocking the ball away, or he keeps making one-handed interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, or man, there's a lot of times where he darts through. He is nominated for Player of the Week. There's a couple times where he darts through underneath blocks and makes critical tackles for 2-yard gains that are probably going to be 10 to 15-yard gains. So, just what incredible season he's had. What an incredible young man. I know we've obviously praised him a bunch, and he deserves it. Man, look at the back end. I mean, we got Trey Thompson and Wade White's another guy that's played really well, and Ian Jackson continues to step in and play well. So. And not to mention, man, Quan Jones moved him over the corner, and man, he's really helped us over there. I mean, he's given us a little bit more steady play over there. But anyway, defense, like I said, man, we anchored down when we needed to and made some big stops.
Yeah, and just didn't get to him, but the middle linebacker Zach Burner, my goodness. I mean, he was in on so many tackles the other night. I lost count.
He's one of those guys, man, and me and Coach Wallace have talked about it. Like, sometimes, man, Zach's so aggressive.
Yeah.
He's so aggressive. Like, he's one of those guys you got to say, whoa, not go. You know what I mean? So that's a good
problem to have.
It is. And sometimes he may overrun something, one gap, or get himself a little bit out of position. And you think, man, did he play well? I don't know. Then after the game's over with, he's got 11 tackles, 12 tackles, 13 tackles. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, his production is off the chart. So, yes, he's really stepped in what we've needed from Zach. When Mason Taylor, who's out with an injury, Zach's really stepped in and really hopefully trying to step up and be that leader that we need on our defense.
That's fantastic. Now I want to step away from the game just for a minute because mentioning Zach, there's a neat – I'm guessing our listeners know about this, but make sure there's a Prattville Lions review show that's done. It's usually up by Monday, if not Saturday or Sunday sometimes. And they do a little segment inside the Lions cage. And Zach was highlighted this week. But talk a little bit about that show. That's kind of a neat thing. In case our listeners don't know about that, it's a neat way to catch up on the game from the previous Friday night, to get to know your players, to hear what your thoughts fresh off the game.
It's really well done, man. First of all, credit to Stacy Mills.
Sure.
On that, man. He does a fantastic job. And, man, Stacy does so much behind the scenes, does so much for the program. But that's one of the things that's really generated by him, his idea. And we wanted to do a coach's show. That was one of the things when I got back. I wanted to bring some type of YouTube-based coaching show. Well, man, he really took the idea, and it was like throwing a softball. I mean, it's up to him. He's like, absolutely. And, man, he's ran with it. And he come up with this idea. He said, hey, Coach, let's do a little different segment with this. We kind of want to do something a little fun, unique, called Inside the Lions cage.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And, man, I've gotten a lot of good feedback. A lot of times I'll have some people, like either parents or even people in the community or teachers, hey, Coach, I watched your review show, man, and I like the Inside the Lions cage. I didn't realize that kid could speak like that.
Yeah. I
didn't realize how articulate your kids are. And I was like, yes, man, we got great kids. They are. And that's a great way of looking at the personalities and looking a little bit deeper that, man, our kids, they're athletes, but they're well-rounded young men. And, man, it's good to see the personality of some of them. Oh,
totally. And the program is built on the players. And like you said, it's neat when the public can, the curtains kind of pull back a little bit and they get the front row seat to see, well, that's that kid. Well, and I like things about him.
That's right. Here's like a side product of that, because we did something similar when I was at McGill-Toolen.
Mm-hmm.
And it never dawned on me, but I had a mama come up to me after her son's senior year, and she said, Coach, I really appreciate you putting my son in front of the camera like that. He got, kind of the same deal. We did a segment, or we'd interview him after a game. She goes, my son was really very shy. And she was almost like you forced him to have to come out of his shell. Now he speaks, and it's helped him. He's going to do more. He's going to do better in interviews. He's going to do better speaking in front of people. I never saw it from that angle. And I'm like, man, that really is true. These kids have to, because you kind of, hey, man, I need you to speak. But you know what? Man, you got to be social. You got to be man, you get out in the real world, you're going to have to, man, sell yourself and present yourself the right way. So those segments really help our kids, man. Think about what you say, how you're going to say it, how you present yourself, because that's going to take you a long way in life. So it's just a great segment.
I didn't think of it that way either. I was thinking a great way to get to know the kid, but you're exactly right. This is a life skill. Sell yourself. You're going to have job interviews, things like that. Let's talk about that a little bit just for a minute. Yes, these are football players, and they're good athletes, but you're not just teaching them football. You're teaching them life skills. You're instilling things that are going to help them get a job, help them be a dad, help them be whatever. Speak to that a little bit.
Well, and I've said it before, and I know I've said it on this show, and I'm a person that just, man, recently finally got my master's, and, man, I got 2 degrees. But I'll tell anybody, and I taught. I wasn't man, I tried to do a good job when I taught in the classroom. I taught history, and, man, I tried to lecture 3 or 4 days a week. So I guess I can say these things. I learned as much on a football field as I ever did in the classroom.
I hear you.
And sometimes I guess the academic world may not want to hear that, but education isn't always in the classroom.
Right.
And so I learned a lot, and to mean that, we've got a lot of well-rounded kids. Most of our kids, they'll never play another down of football past high school.
Sure.
But they're going to go on, they're going to get degrees, or they're going to go into the workforce, or they're going to have a job skill. And you hope that, man, they've learned something by being under your program and being under the assistant coaches and their guidance and the things that we hold them accountable every day, the discipline or the accountability that they must have playing football will lead them in life. And like I tell them all the time, if, guys, all you ever learn from me is how to win a football game or how to be a good athlete, then I really let you down.
Yeah.
Because, man, the parents, man, they're almost like, hey, we're loaning you our child for a period of time.
Sure.
And to me, I don't take that responsibility lightly, man.
It's a big deal.
That's right. We want to sit there and guide them. And, man, we want to build that character, build that toughness, man, and build that, that accountability that's going to make them successful later on.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I think a lot of times in anything we do, school or anything, we're really inclined to teach people what to think. And I think a lot of what you do is in sports and in the football program, you're teaching kids how to think.
That's right.
And that's so important.
I heard something the other day. He said, well, you can't plan the path for your child. You got to plan the child for the path or something like that. So I thought that was the best way of ever saying something like that. And that's true, man. We do. And sometimes we've got to take their hand. But at some point, you got to let go and say, hey, it's on you. And I can't walk you through this. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to learn these things on your own. But we always try to, man, we try to be disciplined. We try to be structured. And sometimes they don't get it, man. It's tough on them. The other day we had a couple kids that were late, and we held them accountable, and they're upset about that. And I was like, well, guys, was I late? Did I treat you unfair? Did I treat you any different than I have anybody else? Was my expectation unfair? And they, no. And I was like, well, you need to be mad at yourself. Don't be mad at me.
Yeah.
I said, because here's the deal. If you're consistently late for a job, you may not have that job.
That's right.
And then at some point you're going to answer to a family or answer to somebody that you got to pay bills. And I know I'm getting deep and off.
No.
But that's the things that football hopefully teaches. Really, any extracurricular. But there's what I love about the game of football. There's an extra added toughness that must come with that sport. It's just a little bit different.
Got to have an edge.
And I've played other sports. You got to have a little bit of edge. You got to have a little bit of grit about you to make it through that sport. And I think those things they'll carry you a long way in life.
That's fantastic, and thank you for just another side of your mindset away from the X's and O's, but what you're trying to build and what you're trying to do. I love to hear, and I know our listeners love to hear that kind of thing as well. Well, fans, we're going to get ready to go away to another break in just a moment. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in. If you're anywhere nearby, you're listening to us on the radio, we'd love for you to come stop by, be here live with us at Los Mayas Restaurant, right next to Winn-Dixie, across the street from Hardee's here on Main Street in Prattville. Those of you who are listening to the radio on Dixie Country 100.1, thanks for being a part of the show tonight. Also, those of you who are tuning in via the Prattville Live YouTube channel, thank you to you as well. You're listening to the Coach Caleb Ross Show. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Fans, welcome back to the Coach Caleb Ross Show. I'm your host, Chris Britton, coming to you live from Los Mayas Restaurant, right here in close to downtown Prattville, right next to Winn-Dixie, across the street from Hardee's. If you're anywhere nearby, as always, we invite you to come out and enjoy some fantastic Mexican cuisine here at Los Mayas Restaurant, and also enjoy some fun people and hanging out. Well, we've come to our segment of the show. Each week we have the privilege of recognizing the Pepsi Buffalo Rock Player of the Week from the week before, and this week it's a great pleasure to recognize a young man who's kind of new to a lot of our listeners, maybe, Jaquez Allen. Jaquez, how you doing, buddy?
How you doing?
Good. Congratulations on your award from last week. Yeah, man. All right, here's what we got. We got a nice plaque for you there. You've got an MVP treatment from Sports Clips and also a jump pass at Lunch Trampoline Park. Now, Coach said wait till after the season to use that lunch.
Right.
Keep that in mind. Buddy, let's talk just a little bit about this season. Take us through just a little bit. You've been at the school for a little while now,
yes, sir.
Ready to get on the field on Friday night, and you haven't
Yes,
been
sir.
able to. Take us through that a little bit. That can't be easy.
Oh, it was tough, not being able, been practicing all week with the guys and getting in tune with the guys. Not being able to practice, it was tough. So I was just fighting through it and helping my teammates out during the game time.
Fantastic, yeah. So, well, I guess you play a role in practice. What did you try to bring it every day, make people better? What's your
Yes, sir.
mindset there?
I wanted to help all the players out. So if I brought my A game, everybody else was going to be good around me. It was going to help everyone else around me. So once I brought my A game, everybody else was going to bring their A game. So you practice hard, you play hard.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, let me ask you this. Explain to us the emotion when Coach Ross comes to you and says, Jaquez, we got it worked out. Get your pads. Let's go. We playing ball this Friday.
I was just ready, because I was sitting out for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it was tough. So once he said that, I was just ready to go.
I got you. Now, before you moved to town, you're part of another program last year, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm getting at is you knew the guys we were playing this last Friday, correct?
Yes, sir.
Pretty well, huh?
Yes, sir.
What was that like, going onto the field on the other side with a bunch of guys that brothers,
It was a little different, but those guys, they talked a little smack before the game. And so
You wouldn't
I had
expect
to
anything
show 'em.
less, would you?
Yes, sir. So it was good to play against those guys, though.
Yeah,
Because, I used to practice against those guys, so
of course.
it was just different playing full speed against them.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's talk about the game a little bit. Man, they started handing you the ball, and it was hard for JD to stop you, man.
Yes, sir. How I am, once I get the ball, I keep getting the ball. I get in tune with the game. So once Coach Ross kept giving me the ball, I just felt good.
Yeah.
And I wanted to help the team out. So
Fantastic. You did a great job, bud. Real proud of you. Coach, just share just a little bit about Jaquez and or Jock. What do you prefer, man?
Ja.
All right, Jock. Share a little bit about having the last few weeks, getting to know him and having him a part of the program. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, like I said earlier,
Yeah.
man, first of all, he's a fine young man. Man, I'd heard a lot of good things, and he got to get here. Man, he's just an awesome young man. He's a natural leader. He's a good teammate, and I tell you, man, you talking about in a situation where, like I said, 2 weeks in a row, we thought that all right, he's going to be ready to play. Then had to tell him on a game day, hey, you can't play. Mm-hmm. Man, he handled it like a young man. Like I said, just as well as you possibly could ask. And it would be tough. I mean, better than I think I would have handled it back when I was his age, But just a great teammate. And then, man, what he brings from a football standpoint, man, obviously, man, he's fast. He's got speed. But, man, he's got vision.
Yeah.
He's got toughness, man. What I like, man, he'll get behind the shoulder pads and he'll go run through arm tackles. And he makes obviously, he's right. You start getting in the rhythm of the game, and we've been doing this a little bit as far as this whole play calling stuff. And so, man, when we got him in the rhythm, man, it's like, hey, just keep getting that dude the ball. Let's find ways to get him the ball, find him different setups and different formations. But in the day, man, give him the rock. And he really got into a groove. You could tell he was in a rhythm. And and I tell you what, he makes. Being a former lineman, he makes your job as O-line a lot easier because he sets up the blocks for you. So, and he's just natural at it. And just obviously had a great game. And I knew that game meant a lot to him. You know what I mean? So, and he had a big night, man. And we're counting on him to have a lot of big nights moving forward. So.
I hear you. We'll talk about how many of those big nights we hope to see later
That's
on.
right.
All right. Let's talk about the schedule. Let's see. 13 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, if that's the best you can do, man, I mean, whatever, right? Put that in perspective. I mean, compared to what you've done in the past, where's that rank up as an individual performance for you?
That's probably the top performance. Right
I hear
there. I could have did better, but it's all right for right now.
I hear you. All right. Always leave room for improvement, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, fantastic. Well, let's get to know Jock just a little bit off the football field. Just tell us a little bit. I mean, you're at a new school. That's never easy. But, man, when I see you around guys, they just kind of like you, man. I mean, you're a likable guy. Tell us a little bit about who Jack Allen is.
Once I first came, everybody in Prattville just took me in open arms. So it felt good when I was pretty nervous, meeting
Sure.
new people, but it was decent.
High school kids are mean.
No. But those guys, they treat me well. They treat me like I'm their brother. So
I hear you. That part of the family, that's fantastic. Okay, so you got your headphones on the way to an away game. Who you listening to?
Probably Migos.
Okay. Anybody else number 2 or?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, that's
I mean,
fantastic.
No Eagles, no Bob Seger.
Yeah, I
no-
mean, seriously, right? Come on, can we get some CCR? All right, favorite movie, man, of any genre. Favorite movie. I'm gonna take it down to sports movie in a minute. So
That's tough. Probably Mission Impossible.
hey,
Probably Mission Impossible.
the whole
unique answer. I like it.
yeah. Any specific one? Because I think there's like 4 or 5 of them. They're all good.
I think it's the newest one
Okay.
they just made.
All right, fantastic. Now, do you have a favorite all-time sports movie?
Ooh. Remember the Titans, probably.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I love that movie. All right, now all the ladies, they're blowing up the phones right now. They're wanting to know. They're saying, the radio station is getting overrun. Is Jock single or is he taken currently?
Jacquez is single.
Hey, all right.
Single.
And Dad's sitting over here to the side saying he's going to stay that way and keep his focus on school and football.
Hey, you notice I said Jacquez is single. Ja may not be. So whatever. So.
Yeah, I hear you. The alter ego, right? Two different. That's fantastic. All right. What else do we need to know about you, man? Anything else? And I'm leaving it wide open.
I'm a huge Auburn fan.
Oh, that's important. Okay, well, let's talk about college commitment. Have you got any plans there? What's that looking like?
Yes, sir. I'm right now committed to Wofford College in South Carolina. Yes, sir.
Fantastic, man. That's exciting stuff. All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, good deal. So Auburn fan, being a running back, who's your favorite player? All time, not current necessarily.
Tyreek Cohen.
Okay. I hear
He
you.
reminds me of myself. That's why.
Okay.
I like
What about
Tyreek
that guy
Cohen.
named Bo? I figured you'd go Bo.
Bo doesn't remind me of myself, though.
I
So that's why.
understand.
Bo's big. He's huge. So
Yeah. I hear you. Okay. Well, what do you think about this season for Auburn?
it's a tough game. They're very physical and disciplined. So
Oh, no, I'm not talking about Auburn High School. I'm sorry.
Oh,
you
I'm,
gotta-
I'm talking about Auburn University.
Timing of that was really close.
Yeah. Let me clarify. I apologize. No, I'm talking about Auburn University.
it's a tough season. Auburn's just been. They made me mad this season. They made me mad this season.
I think a lot of Auburn fans are mad.
I was going to say, I think any Auburn fan listening to the show tonight is, amen, Jacques. Amen, buddy. Well, I'm with you. Well, cool. Well, buddy, thank you for tuning in or joining in with us, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the Buffalo Rock Pepsi Player of the Week, man. Great job. And keep showing up and keep what you do, man. I love
sir.
your the way you said it really is it was a great performance, but you're not satisfied. You want more.
Yes, sir.
And that's the way you got to be.
Yes, sir.
If you want to be great. So that's fantastic. Thanks for stopping by. Coach, any other thoughts?
No, man, I'm a great young man. I'm glad he's with us. I really
Yeah.
am. So.
Proud to have him. All right, well, fans, we're going to go ahead and go to another break. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'd invite you, if you're anywhere nearby, to come join us live here at Los Mayas Restaurant. That's where we're coming to you live from, right next to Winn-Dixie, across the street from Hardee's on Main Street right here in Prattville. Those of you who are tuning in through Dixie Country 100.1 on the radio, thanks for joining us. Also, thank you so much to those of you who are coming, joining us through the Prattville Live YouTube channel. You're listening to the Coach Caleb Ross Show. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Fans, this is the Coach Caleb Ross Show. I'm your host, Chris Britton. Thank you for being with us tonight. Glad to have you along for the journey. I'm being joined now by another one of our coaching staff members, Coach J.B. Wallace. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, you're in for a treat because, Coach, you got a guest with you, don't you?
I do.
Who's this?
I got my youngest son, Adrian. Adrian's with us this evening.
What's up, Adrian? And how old is Adrian?
Adrian just turned 1 August 7th, so he's a football baby.
I hear you. What's up, buddy? So he's along for the show. Those of you listening, if the microphone gets faint or you can tell that Coach Wallace is a little bit distracted, he's got good reason. It's okay. Well, Coach, tell us a little bit about yourself. This is the first time we've had you on the show. You're no stranger to Prattville, of course, but we're glad to have you back. Tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your family.
Well, I'm born and raised here in Prattville. Graduated from here and everything, played football here, so Prattville means a lot to me. It's
Sure.
very close to my heart. Went to college, University of West Alabama. Came back, had an opportunity to join Coach Clark's staff and coach here in 2004. And kind of just, went to Florence after I left here 2011 and came back and been able to be a part of Coach Ross's staff. So it's been a blessing being back. Married. Have 3 kids, the older son, Jason Jr., then Chloe, she's 7, and then as little Adrian taking over the show here, that's my baby.
Neither one of us matter to the people watching on YouTube. He's the one everybody's checking out.
Yeah.
Now, your oldest son, he's a wide receiver, man. Does that disappoint you being a defensive coach? What's up?
It doesn't. I mean, those offensive guys kind of got to him when he was young and kind of sold him a dream. And so he comes in and Coach Ross, of course, invented offensive football, so he's watching all the stuff that Coach Ross puts on the board. And what Coach Ross don't know, he goes home and draw it all on the paper, and he kind of has the playbook now. So
He's transcribed it.
Yeah, he's a student. I'm proud of that part of it.
Yes,
being
sir.
A student.
That's fantastic. What position? I know you're the defensive coordinator. We'll get to that in a minute. But you work with a position group too. Who do you work with out there?
I'm inside linebackers coach.
Yeah, I hear you. So tell us a little bit about a day in practice. What does that look like with those fellas?
We have a lot of lively personalities and all that from our group. But, one thing, and I've been fortunate over the years, man, I've been blessed with a bunch of kids that love to work, and I'm a firm believer in hard work and getting after it. And one thing about the group that we have now at Inside Backer, they work hard.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we demand from them every day. So just getting out there, and we challenge each other every day. Sometimes, when old knees ain't feeling too bad, I'll get out there and run around with them a little bit. And so it gets pretty interesting. It gets to be competitive.
Yeah, I was telling, I think I mentioned this on the show actually. I mean, well before the season, during summer workouts, I was out there. I stepped into a meeting room, and y'all were just starting to talk about punt coverage, and I just stood in the back of the room and listened to the meeting as you talked to those guys, and I left that room. I said, I could play for this guy, just the way you motivate. And speak to that a little bit, maybe your experience, mentors that have helped you learn how to not puff people up, but motivate them, get the most out of them.
Well, just coming through and being able to play here, and everybody knows Coach Harper. He was someone that motivated me, to actually do what I'm doing now. I saw him as a player, and he spent a lot of time with us, not just football time, but just time in general.
Yeah.
Just keeping us busy. When you're 16, 17 years old, there's a whole lot of things you could be doing. So Coach Harper, he'd always kept us busy. But I've had some coaches in college. Coach Clark, of course, he also was a motivator. And fortunately, when he got here, I played 1 season with him his first year, and he was my position coach. So he was head coach and position coach. So I get a lot of stuff from him, and been blessed to play with a lot of guys, play for a lot of guys in college. So I kind of stole from all of them and kind of formulated who I want to be.
I hear you. And then your mindset as a defensive coordinator with the coaches that are working with you. Talk us through a little bit about your mentality, your mindset with leading that defense as a whole.
Well, first, consistency is the key.
Yeah.
And everything we do, we want to be consistent, which that's the first thing Coach Ross talks to the team about, is being consistent in everything we do.
Sure.
So, that, and then having a mindset of loving what you do. A lot of people want to score the touchdowns, but we kind of get those guys who want to stop people from scoring, and that's a different personality that we deal with defensively. So,
sure.
But that's mainly it, just being consistent and loving what we do and playing for a team. You know, it's aggressive game, so you got to live for that kind of stuff.
That's right. There's, and you said the special mentality on the defensive side of the ball. Coach Todd does something. I'm not sure if that was his thing or you brought it in, but if there's a turnover, I hear something with a whistle. What's that about?
Yeah, that started a few years ago. That's Coach Todd's thing, and it's actually the last time we were at Prattville, and even Coach Ross when we were here. That's something that we've been doing. We'd be at practice sometime, and I think the offensive staff started it.
Okay.
And so when the skill guys, the DBs and the receivers are going against each other, and the O-line, D-line will be way off somewhere else. You can't see them, but you can hear them. And when you hear that whistle sounding, something just happened.
Yeah.
So, we're on the one end saying, who is that? Is that offense? Is that defense? So it's something that's been carrying on probably close to 10 years now, 10 to 12 years.
How about that? Yeah, and I see it a lot with defensive turnovers when y'all cause one in practice. And then I think the other day, it may have been last week one day I was out there, and some of the offense guys were like, Coach, why don't we have a whistle thing for us? So they're a little bit jealous.
Yeah, they look forward to it. I mean, anything to make it fun and things like that, and they look forward to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, and you said a lot there, making it fun. How important is that? Yeah, you got to work and you got to be consistent, but you got to make it fun too. Speak to that a little bit in your mindset with that.
Well, you get the maximum potential from a player when he's having fun. And that's one thing Coach Rossi brought to the program. On Wednesday, we do some sort of competition, and we'll have O-line and D-linemen catching punts or skill guys kicking field goal, but it's fun. So you get out of the normal routine and you come in and football is a fun sport to make it fun. But Coach Ross done a real good job of adding other things that the kids look forward to and they compete. It's all about competing and being a competitor and having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the perfect storm, a great formula that he's putting together for the program.
That's fantastic. Talk to us a little bit about your coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. Tell us a little bit about some of those guys that you got over on that side.
Well, I'll start off first with Coach Brown. I think everybody knows him.
Yeah, he was on last week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. If it's a ring to have associated with Prattville, he has it.
He's got it.
Yeah, Dayton championship ring, probably a few little league rings. He got them all. So he's been around a long time. We're glad to have him aboard, though. I mean, he's on top of it. And,
yes, sir.
And he sees a lot of things. He's got a lot of wisdom. He was my coach, and actually he was my teacher as well.
Yeah.
When I was young. So. And he's still my coach.
And the Millser.
Yeah. And so he probably knows. So we have Coach Brown coaching D-line. We have Coach Wilson, who's been here for a while. He's been here since 2012. He's coaching D-line as well, and Chris Boykin. Those guys do a real good job. D-lineman, a lot like O-lineman, one of the biggest guys on defense. However, but it's all about playing with skill and playing with technique.
Sure.
So those guys work together, just watching them work, and they'll have the D-line split up into 3 different groups, and they're working 3 different things. And it's just amazing how they get it done.
You got a lot of experience in those guys, too.
A whole lot of experience, and we're very appreciative of that. Our outside backer nickel guy is Coach Hall. Coach Hall is very knowledgeable in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's a DB guy by trade, so he's very good at that position because our nickel is like an extra safety. So
sure.
We kind of still an extra DB coach, so we really have 3 DB coaches coaching for us on our staff, and so we're glad to have him. And Coach Todd coaching corners. Coach Todd was here the last time I was in Prattville. I think he started with us 2009, and so he's been coaching corners for us. When we went to Florence, he was coaching corners. He gets the most out of those kids, as far as just effort, teaching them that grit that Coach talks about all the time. I mean, that's what he brings to the table. And Coach Shook, our strength and conditioning coach, he does safeties for us.
Sure.
Knowledgeable. He was meeting today, and he's always got something that he saw on film, or he done figure something out, and it's all ongoing with him. So he's a student of the game as well as a great coach, and he's always just looking for the next edge that we can get defensively.
That's fantastic. And it's got to be a lot of fun to lead those guys and to pull a bunch of great minds together and set a tone and say, hey, here's the direction we're going, guys, and implement it.
Right. It is great, when you come to work and guys love it as much as you do. And he's got that microphone, so there's no telling what's about to happen.
It's all right.
But the guys love it as much as you do, and they take pride in it, and they want the kids to be great. And that's what the thing is, defensively. And I know offensively the same way. Coaches built the staff where not only do we want to be great as a team, but those guys, they care about the players being great in the players. They put the players first. So it's great being on staff like that.
Fantastic. Well, Coach, welcome back to town. Glad to have – welcome home, really.
Yes,
glad to have you here, man. You're doing a great job. Proud of you guys and proud of what you're doing. Anything else we need to know about J.B. Wallace before we head off to a break in just a little bit?
I don't know. I think we pretty much
covered it all?
Yeah, pretty much covered it all.
I got you.
Yes, sir.
I got you. Well, thank you for stopping by and joining us tonight, Coach. Good luck tomorrow night on a big ball game over at Auburn tomorrow night.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Well, fans, thank you for tuning in again. We've got one more segment, so don't go anywhere yet. We'll be back with Coach Caleb Ross for our final segment in just a little bit. If you're anywhere nearby, you still got time to come join us for dinner. You don't have to come while we're here. You can come after we leave, but it's more fun if we're here. So come on by. We're at Los Mayas Restaurant right next to Winn-Dixie. Those of you who are listening via Dixie Country 100.1, thanks for tuning in. Also, those of you coming to join us through Prattville Alive YouTube channel, thanks for being with us. You're listening to the Coach Caleb Ross Show. We'll be back in just a minute. Glad to have you. Coach, we're coming into our last segment. We'd be remiss if we didn't look towards – there's another ball game coming up tomorrow night. It's been fun talking about the season. It's been fun talking about the last 2 weeks. Tell us a little bit about tomorrow night and what we got coming up.
Well, you're playing one of the better teams, obviously, and not only in the region, one of the better teams in the state.
Sure.
I mean, they're undefeated, the 7-0. Outstanding program. Coach Adam Weingarten's a really good friend of mine. Man, he does an outstanding job, does it the right way. Probably one of the best defensive units I've seen in a long time. Man, they're just really, really good on defense. Good up front. They're good. That means good in all phases. They got good players. Their scheme's good. They're coached up. Their technique's good. It's just going to be a really challenge. And then offensively, you're talking about Coach Weingarten, very involved, runs the offense, calls the plays, is a really, really good offensive mind. does a lot with formations and shifts, gets you out leveraged, does a lot of unbalanced stuff. And, man, he always has just this gritty kid that plays quarterback that seems to be a winner, man. And it's no different this year.
I hear you.
They're not a team that's going to drop back and throw it 30 times a game, but they're going to pick their spots. And, man, when they do, they hurt you. And they're very, very physical. One thing, we talked earlier this week, and I said, Coach, man, one thing about your team, they're very physical. And, we've challenged our boys. We got to match that same physicality.
Sure.
If we want to have a chance to win the football game, we got to match that same physicality by them. So.
Yeah, a big ball game, like you said. This is the longest journey so far this season, longest road trip so far, isn't it? So far this year.
It is, and that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. You're moving your whole operation an hour and 20 minutes down the road.
Uh-huh.
So, but man, I think we'll be fine there.
Sure.
We've got a good plan for travel, and that's why, to me, you go take your team off on, and not the whole team, but we took our team to a 7-on-7, and so we've been on road trips. They know the expectation, and those guys can kind of, and we got good kids, man. You don't really worry about a road trip unless, you got kids that are low character or undisciplined. Man, you'd worry about a long trip,
right.
But our kids will be fine.
That's fantastic. So, not looking past tomorrow night, obviously, but just talking about schedule coming up after that. What do we have remaining?
Well, we're gonna be road warriors. We play on the road tomorrow night, play on the road the following week, and then we finish up at Crampton Bowl against Sidney Lanier. We go to Smith Station next week, so we'll go back to that part of the state again, and then we finish up at Crampton Bowl. So 3 games on the road, and then hopefully, wherever we end up in the playoffs. So
Sure. And still work to do on that, of course.
There
I know
is.
that's a goal.
And we're 3-1. Everybody, oh, Coach, you're a lock, aren't you? I said, well, not yet. We're not. We've got to go. We don't necessarily have to go win out, but we need to go win out. Just let's go do that. Let's go take the guessing out of it. There's different scenarios of where it could put us. You could finish as high as a 2 seed, or you could be as low as a 4 seed, or you could be out. So, man, we just got to go take care of business.
Well, in any situation in athletics, you want to control your own destiny.
That's it.
And winning does that.
That's right.
So that's what's out there. So where do you want to land it, Coach? We've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to put it to you, man. What do you want to talk about tonight? Go ahead.
I'll say this, man. It's outstanding, man, being back in your hometown,
sure.
coaching. The support's been incredible, man, with people coming back out to the games. The school spirit, man, has been incredible, man. The pep rallies have been outstanding. I get asked, I bet, at least 2 or 3 times a week, Coach, how's it been being back home? And I said, man, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling. You get to go and you drive around the streets that you grew up in. You see
right.
people that you went to high school with. And you know that hopefully you're making an impact in this community where it impacted you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
To me, that's what it's all about. And we kind of knew. It's one of those things you didn't really know. I always knew this place was special, and I knew it was special to me, but you really don't know how special it is till you get to come back and do it where maybe it was always a goal and dream. So we get to do it in our hometown, and, man, I just been overwhelmed by the support. Now, I realize we're in a profile position, so
sure.
you've got to – you're only as good as your last win sometimes, but just being back home, man, people understand what we're trying to do. And man, they overwhelmingly support on Friday night and support throughout the program.
Sure. Is the perspective a little different? I mean, having grown up here, been in the program, coached in the program, then you've been gone a while. Coming back, how's the perspective different after having seen things in other places, being away a while?
And you get to – it's good, and you get to bring a little bit, because sometimes when you go into places and – that's all they know. You get to say, hey, that ain't the only way you got to do this. All right, there's other ways it's done, and it works. So that is a good thing about going. I've been a few different places, and you see the good. But here's the thing: things that work maybe at Opelika may not work at a Prattville, or vice versa. But still, some of the things that, hey, y'all have done it. We've done it this way, okay. But here's the way we've done it where I was at another school, and it works too, maybe even better. So you do get to bring that perspective. You do bring that experience, and that's to me why you. Man, I get it in big jobs like this. It's I get why sometimes people don't want to hire guys that don't have experience.
Sure.
Being behind there and being the head coach, it's just a little bit unique. It's a little bit different. And especially I've been very blessed. I've been at 3 other schools as a head coach and seen how those systems do it and seen what it takes. And that's a good thing of being early, young, and being a head coach. You learn a lot what not to do. You know what I mean? You learn, I can't mess that up again. Or man, we've got to have this in place or we don't really have a chance of being successful. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that perspective with us and a little bit about that vantage point. And, Coach, you're doing a great job. Proud of what you're doing, who you are, and the difference football wins are great, but the difference you're making in young men's lives, well, you can't really quantify that. That's a big deal. So thank you for that. Well, fans, listen, thank you for tuning in again tonight. We're so glad to have you on the Coach Caleb Ross Show. We're going to be sending it over to Hey Coach in just a minute. We want to thank those of you again who've been listening all night long on the Prattville Alive YouTube channel. Also, those of you who have tuned in through Dixie Country 100.1. Fans, if you can make it, we'd love to see you over in Auburn tomorrow night. The Lions would greatly appreciate your support. Thanks again for tuning in to the Caleb Ross Show tonight. We'll see you next time.